Revealed, Millionaire's amazing memory loss hidden by assistants touching act as wife. In the heart of a bustling suburban neighborhood in Ohio, Tom Parker stood as a titan of success. Glistening in his tailored suit, with a smile that lit up even the cloudiest days, he was the envy of many, having built a tech empire and pledged millions to local charities. Yet when the lights dimmed and the crowd dispersed, a chilling truth haunted him. Severe memory loss from a devastating car accident left him a shell of his former self. Each day felt like a new beginning as he faced the unfamiliar, wrestling with the fog that clouded his mind and the facade he meticulously crafted. Mia, his devoted assistant, was more than a voice in his earpiece. Day after day, she shielded Tom from the harsh reality of his condition, orchestrating both a thriving business and the immense gala that would celebrate his accomplishments. The weeks bled into frantic days as she pulled together every detail, her eyes bright, hiding the worry that tugged at her heart. "You've got this, Tom," she would reassure him, clapping her hands together as if to intone some magic. In those moments, it was as if she breathed warmth into his rocky world, igniting flickers of hope. As the community rallied around Tom, showering him with praise, Mia felt the emotional burden of his isolation seeping through the cracks. "You're a hero." They cheered, clinking glasses while he stood at the center, a gilded cage of expectations. He smiled for them, but what they didn't see was how each kind word twisted in his chest, a stark reminder of the memories slipping through his fingers like grains of sand. Days before the gala, Tom's estranged brother Jack re-emerged. Jack, the artist with calloused hands and tousled hair, stood in stark contrast to Tom's polished existence. "You think money defines you?" Jack's voice dripped with skepticism, cutting through the cheers like a harsh winter wind. Tom flinched at the familiar echoes of their childhood rivalry, where Jack's passion for art collided with Tom's ambition for wealth. Jealousies bubbled beneath the surface, forcing Tom into a defensive corner he couldn't escape. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the days leading up to the gala, moments of Tom's past began to flicker, shadowy reminders rising from the depths. A childhood birthday, laughter in the backyard, and a shared secret under the stars crashed through his barrier, forcing him to confront not only his brother but his own frailty. Panic surged through him, tightening his chest. What if he wasn't the man everyone believed him to be? As the evening of the gala approached, Tom felt torn between the reality of his achievements and the brother who had long haunted his conscience. Could he bury the shadows of the past, or would they eclipse him completely? Dressed in a tuxedo, standing before the crowd, Tom took a deep breath. There was no turning back now. Tonight would either solidify his legacy or unravel him completely. The stakes had never felt so high, echoing the tumultuous emotions swirling within him. Would the truth set him free, or bind him forever? The gala was a swirl of lights and laughter, an opulent affair that glittered with potential. The venue was a grand ballroom, draped in sparkling silks and adorned with flowers that filled the air with sweet scents. Tom stood at the edge of the room, his heart pounding, feeling both the weight of expectation and the desperate urge to flee. Every smile directed his way felt like a spotlight, illuminating both his success and his struggle. Mia bustled around him, threading through the crowd with grace. She greeted guests with a bright smile and light chatter, her presence a balm to his frayed nerves. Despite the success she had helped cultivate, Tom could see the flickering worry in her eyes. It churned in his gut. This gala, this life he was supposed to celebrate, was built on a foundation of precarious lies. "Tom!" A voice rang out, snapping him back to reality. Jack approached, an unsettling calm radiating from him. It was a stark contrast to the chaos of the party, his demeanor almost unsettlingly composed. "I think it's time we talked," he said, his tone firm yet unaccusing. Tom's heart raced. This moment felt unavoidable, like standing at the edge of a cliff wondering if he should jump or retreat. But was there really a choice? Now? He asked, glancing at the gathering crowd, his pulse quickening. Jack nodded, his eyes searching Tom's for something in understanding, perhaps. The brothers slipped away from the jovial noise of the gala into a quieter corner, the soft hum of celebration fading behind them. Do you even remember the last time we spoke? Jack's voice was steady, but it held an edge. Tom opened his mouth, but the words wouldn't come, the truth pressed heavily on his tongue. How could he explain the hazy memories he grasped at, the way they seemed to flutter just beyond reach? Jack crossed his arms, clearly frustrated. You can't just ignore me forever, Tom. You think success and money are all that matters? You don't even know who you are anymore. Tom recoiled. I'm trying, Jack. You don't understand, he said, feeling the heat of anger tinged with fear rising in him. A part of him just wanted to yell, to push his brother away. Instead, he felt an overwhelming desperation to reconnect, to understand why this moment felt so fraught with tension and loss. Then help me, Jack said quietly, his voice softening. Help me understand the brother I used to know. Tom looked into Jack's eyes, reading the years of hurt and disappointment reflected back at him. The moment cracked open like a fragile shell, revealing a vulnerability neither brother had confronted in years. They had both changed, but the loss of connection had always loomed large. Can you give me one chance? Tom whispered, the weight of his memories hanging between them. This was a chance to rebuild, to confront the shadows together. Mia appeared at the edge of the hallway, her expression caught between hope and concern. Tom, we need to start the speeches, she called gently. Tom turned back to Jack, determination flooding through him. This was the moment. Don't go anywhere. We're not done, Tom promised, realizing he had to tackle both the truth of his brother and his own rediscovery head-on. As Tom re-entered the ballroom, the applause roared around him, echoing in his ears. What would he say? Should he reveal the truth of his memory loss, the whispers of his past? Would it set him free or bring everything crashing down? The question spun in his head as he took the stage, a mixture of fear and excitement thrumming in his veins. Would he deliver a speech about triumph, or one about redemption? The microphone felt warm against his fingertips. Encouragement buzzed in the air as he cleared his throat, narrowing his focus on the faces staring up at him, mixing pride and anticipation. It was time to redefine his truth. But as he opened his mouth to speak, a figure caught his eye from the back of the room. Shrouded in shadows, someone he hadn't expected to see was watching him intently, curiosity sparkling in their eyes. Who was it? And what did they know about him that could change everything? Tom's breath caught in his throat as the figure stirred, stepping partially into the light. It was a woman with striking features, dark hair pulled back into an elegant bun, and piercing blue eyes that locked onto his. It was Sarah, his former business partner and best friend, someone he hadn't seen in ages. A painful ache stabbed at his heart, memories of their time spent together flooded his mind like a rushing tide. He staggered momentarily, thrown off balance by her presence. Why was she here? A tumult of emotions coursed through him: joy, uncertainty, and a hint of betrayal. He had expected support from Mia, not her. Sarah's expression was unreadable, and that only unsettled him more. Tom, she mouthed, though no sound carried over the cheerful din of the gala. It was just the two of them in that moment. She held a cocktail in one hand, but it did nothing to shield the weight of their shared history. The applause faded into a background hum, her gaze pushing against him like a physical force. Just as he opened his mouth to call out her name, his mind shifted. Thoughts of Jack flickered to the surface, and he was yanked back to the importance of the moment. He had a decision to make: talk about the facade he had built or the truth slowly eroding it. Tom. Mia's voice broke through the swirling chaos, concern replacing excitement. You all right? He forced himself to break eye contact with Sarah, redirecting his attention back to the audience awaiting his words. But the moment was fractured, he felt more lost than ever. He began, unsure of how to bridge the gaps in his memories or relationships. Then he saw Jack nod subtly at him from the side, an unexpected encouragement that pushed him forward. "Tonight is a celebration of success," Tom said, his voice steadying. "But I have to be honest, success tastes bittersweet when you aren't sure who you are or where you've come from." The room quieted, a collective breath taken. The weight of his confession hung heavily in the air. "Over the past few years, I've struggled with something more than just numbers on a balance sheet. I've dealt with memory loss. It's been a part of my life that I've tried to hide, and it feels like it's been robbing me of my past, my connections, and ultimately my happiness." Gasps echoed from the crowd. Mia's eyes widened in shock, but Jack looked on with pride. Maybe he wasn't the only one ready to share his truth. "I stand on this stage feeling like I'm still trying to piece together who I truly am. I want to rediscover my relationships, my passions, and the brother I've lost," Tom continued. "And this means confronting things I've been too afraid to face." He caught a glimpse of Sarah again, her expression now softened with understanding. He longed to reach her, to tell her how much he missed their friendship and the laughter they once shared. "Thank you, Mia, for being by my side, and to everyone who has supported me. I hope we can navigate this together, honestly, as friends, and as family," he concluded. The applause erupted, but it felt different than before. It was layered with understanding, empathy. As he stepped down from the stage, a wave of relief washed over him. Maybe he had opened a door to healing. But the gnawing curiosity about Sarah remained. She moved forward, weaving through guests, her eyes locked resolutely on him. He had risked so much by opening up, but what awaited him now? What secrets still lay between them, hidden in the shadows of their past? "Tom," she said, her voice barely audible above the crowd. "We need to talk, and I think you deserve to know the truth about everything." His heart raced at her words as a new apprehension settled in his chest. What truth could she unveil that would reshape his understanding of himself yet again? Tom's insides churned as Sarah stepped closer, a fragile sort of determination in her blue eyes. The warm lights of the gala flickered around them, but they felt enveloped in a cold fog of unspoken tension. She set her cocktail down, the glass clinking softly against the polished wood of the bar. There was a moment, just a brief slice of time, where the chaos of the gala melted away and all he could see was her. Memories of laughter and long nights working on their startup flashed through his mind. They had been a team, like peanut butter and jelly. He missed that bond, the camaraderie, the shared dreams. "What do you mean, the truth?" he found himself asking, his voice barely above a whisper. The weight of curiosity filled the air, pressing against his chest with a painful intensity. Sarah bit her lip, her gaze darting like she was weighed down by regret. "It's about what happened after you lost your memory. There's so much you don't remember, not just about the business, but about us, about everything." Tom felt the air thicken. "Us? What do you mean?" "Things went dark for you, and in my attempts to protect you, I may have..." She hesitated, casting a glance over her shoulder as if to gauge their audience. "I may have kept some things from you. Things I thought would help you heal." He stared at her, trying to process the flood of emotions swirling within him. Anger rose. "Help me? By hiding the truth? Is that really what you think?" Her expression shifted, a mixture of sadness and resolve. "It was complicated, Tom. You were fragile. I wanted to be there for you, but at the same time, I was scared of losing you entirely. I thought maybe if you needed me to be just a friend, it would be easier than confronting the entire past." Tom's heart pounded, and his hands trembled at his sides. What did she mean by complicated? He wanted to reach out and shake sense into her, make her understand how she made him feel like a child being told bedtime stories to shield him from reality. But mixed in with that anger was an overwhelming sense of betrayal. "You should have trusted me, Sarah. I thought I was protecting you. She shot back, her voice sharp with emotion. You were in such a fragile state, and I thought if I kept things simple to business, us maybe you would find your way back. But I didn't expect to lose you this way. He didn't know how to respond to that. His thoughts raced, mapping out the implications of her words. What else had she hidden from him, and at what cost? The memory loss had created a chasm between him and his life, but to think that Sarah had built walls higher than those he faced as he opened his mouth to speak, Sarah stepped closer. Tom, please. Just listen to me. There are huge parts of your life things I can explain. I need you to trust me one last time. Her sincerity broke through his anger, leaving only concern and fear of what lay ahead. There was something more to her story. Something that held the potential to shatter everything he thought he knew about himself. Please, Sarah, he managed, his voice softening. I need to understand. Suddenly, an unfamiliar fear gripped him. What if uncovering the truth unraveled everything he had worked to build? What if the darkness he had tried so hard to escape re-emerged, dragging him down into a void of despair? I'll share everything, Sarah promised, her voice low and steady. There are things you need to know about Jack too. About the decisions made about what happened to your brother. The room dwindled to a hush as her words sank in. His blood felt like ice in his veins. None of this was easy, but facing the truth might be the only way to finally find closure. What about Jack? What did you hide? He whispered, fear curling in his stomach. And as she began to speak, the weight of the past loomed larger than ever, setting the stage for revelations that might change everything he had once believed. Sarah inhaled deeply, her breath shaky, and Tom felt every second stretch between them like a thin, fragile thread. This was at the moment where everything could shift. He could feel the weight of her gaze, the silent plea for understanding buried under layers of guilt and trepidation. Jack, she began, searching for the right words. After your accident, everything spun out of control. You were in such a dark place but you weren't alone. Her eyes glistened, and Tom's heart quickened. Your brother was by your side as much as he could be, but there was something he never shared with you. Not until what? He urged, needing to grab hold of the narrative before it slipped away. Not until it was too late. The tremor in her voice pressed down on him like an anvil. Jack fought for you, but he believed that confronting the truth would hurt you more. I didn't know how to tell you. It was like a secret that loomed over every conversation, every moment we tried to rebuild. Why didn't you trust me with even that? Anger flared back up, stoking the fire inside him. To hear you say that now, after everything, it feels like a betrayal on top of betrayal, Sarah. Her expression softened, the tension in her face deepening the shadows beneath her eyes. I know it sounds selfish. I was scared to shatter the pieces you had begun to put together. I thought I could shield you. But in doing that, I only made it worse. Jack, he tried to reach you. He wanted to connect. Connect? The word felt foreign on his tongue. Connect how? Through the memories, she whispered, the words barely audible. But there was one crucial incident, Tom. An event that changed everything for the both of you. Something that happened before your accident, something I should have told you long ago. His mind raced, spiraling into confusion. Jack had been his rock. Losing him was a scar he still felt acutely. What happened to him, Sarah? A tear slipped down her cheek, and Tom's heart felt like it was being squeezed in a vice. He felt responsible for what happened to you. He thought it was his fault. She struggled to continue, wiping her face with the back of her hand. And before his death, there were moments he wanted to confess, but you were lost in your own hurt, in your own cocoon. He didn't want to speak until you were ready to hear. So he died with those secrets. Tom's voice broke as the crushing reality set in. He didn't get the chance to tell me. I should have told you sooner, Sarah admitted, her voice trembling. But I couldn't bear watching you in pain, and I didn't think I could bear losing you too. But you deserve to know that you're not alone in this. Jack cared so much the depth of sorrow etched into Sarah's face broke through the anger, leaving Tom feeling both hollow and suffocated. The sense of guilt began to creep in as well. Did you really think keeping the past from me would help? I needed to know these things. We could have figured it out together. I made a choice, and it was the wrong one, she said, and the regret in her eyes reflected his own growing turmoil. But I want to help you find your way through, to connect with the brother you lost and the memories that got buried with him. It's not too late. Tom felt a flicker of hope mixed with despair. A chance to dig deeper, to reclaim more than just memories, but the essence of who he was and what family meant. Would the truth heal him, or would it plunge him deeper into darkness? What if it tears me apart more? He asked, voice low, trembling under the weight of his own fear. Sarah reached for his hand, her touch grounding him in the moment. Then we'll face it together. Every step. Tom searched her eyes, desperate for clarity, but all he saw was a ripple of emotion, a connection that felt both familiar and terrifying. Tell me the truth about Jack, he whispered. I need to know what really happened. As Sarah opened her mouth to speak, the flicker of a distant memory gnawed at his mind, a shadow haunting the edges of his thoughts. What exactly had Jack been trying to tell him? And would he be ready for whatever truth emerged from the depths of the night? The air felt charged with unspoken words as Sarah's voice hovered, demanding to be released. The weight of the pause hung between them, a palpable tension that stirred Tom's heart. He could see her struggle, the way her brow knitted together like she was piecing together a puzzle that had been scattered for too long. Tom, she finally breathed, each word a fragile thread in a sprawling tale. There was a weekend. A moment before your accident that changed everything. Jack was trying to help you. But it spiraled. What do you mean spiraled? His voice cracked, desperation clawing at him to understand. Help me how? I need to hear this. She squeezed his hand tighter, as if anchoring them both to this reality, as if the weight of their entwined fingers could somehow shield the two of them from the pain of the truth. You were all in a dark place, Tom. Jack thought you'd been drinking a lot. Your relationship was rocky. In his mind, flashes of arguments, late nights, and deep conversations rushed forward. I didn't think it was that bad. His throat felt tight, the memories sharp and jagged. It was, she said softly. He tried to talk to you, to pull you back, but you were numb to everything. You didn't see how much you were hurting him. Tom could feel anger bubbling up inside him, but it felt distant, submerged beneath layers of sorrow. What happened that weekend? Tell me. Please. On the way home from a party, you were driving, she said, looking down at their joined hands. Jack was in the passenger seat, trying to reason with you. He knew you were too far gone, but you wouldn't listen. He tried to take the keys from you. Her words echoed in his mind, distorting his sense of reality. What? He would never do that. He did. He was scared, Tom. And you didn't react well. There was a fight, and in the heat of the moment you swerved off the road. Pain flared across his chest. The memories of that crash were muddled and vague, flashes of night, noise, and confusion. Terms of recklessness that had always been associated with his own foggy state of mind crashed like a wave against a sea wall of grief. You're saying it was Jack's fault? No. The strength in her voice surprised him. It wasn't like that. He didn't mean for it to happen. He was only trying to help you. He thought he could save you from yourself. But it happened so fast, and God, Tom, it shattered him. He couldn't forgive himself, knowing he couldn't stop you. A realization swept through him, and the air felt thick with regret. So Jack felt responsible for my accident, for everything. It pained him to think his own actions had cast such shadows on his brother. Her eyes glimmered with unshed tears. He fought against that guilt until the very end. He wanted to tell you to explain. Tom could feel the words crashing into him like waves, knocking his breath away. The truth was not just a revelation, it was a reckoning. I need to honor him to forgive him, he whispered, a quiet determination creeping in as the gravity of his brother's struggle settled over him. Together, we'll figure out how, Sarah reassured, pressing her palm against his like a promise. But a gnawing doubt still clung to him. Could he truly dive into this abyss and confront the memories without drowning in them? What if their journey only brought forth more pain, and not the healing he so desperately sought? As they stood there, Sarah's grip began to fade, and Tom's heart quickened. There was still so much left unspoken, a truth that felt both like liberation and a chain around his heart. Tell me more about that weekend, he said, feeling the urgency wash over him. I need to know every detail. Her eyes widened, a flicker of fear and resolve dancing within them. And as she began to recount the moments that led to disaster, Tom felt the pull of a deeper story, one that could change everything he thought he knew. Yet in the background, an unsettling thought loomed. If he ventured further down this path, would he truly uncover the light, or would it plunge him into an even darker abyss? Sarah took a deep breath, as if bracing herself for an emotional wave that would crash over them. It started as an ordinary night, she began, her voice steady yet laced with an unseen tremor. You and Jack were having fun, joking around like old times. But things shifted as the night wore on. Tom leaned in closer, his eyes never leaving her. He was desperate to grasp each detail, to build a complete picture of events that had spiraled out of control. What changed? Jack noticed you getting more distant. You were laughing, but there was this emptiness in your laugh, like you were trying to cover something up. Her gaze fluttered to the floor, her thoughts drawing her away. He could feel it. He reached out, trying to bring you back to reality. But you brushed him off. He winced, picturing that night. The carefree moments before they rang hollow, now tainted by sadness. Why didn't he push harder? Why didn't he just take my keys? The thing is, Tom, he didn't want to make you angry. He knew how sensitive you were about people meddling in your life. Sarah's voice cracked slightly. He was caught between wanting to help you and fearing he would lose you if he went too far. Tom felt a wave of guilt rise. I didn't give him any reason to believe it was that serious. It felt like shards of glass turning steadily within his chest. Not everyone sees the signs, Tom, she reminded him quietly. Not unless they're looking for them. He was worried but didn't want to make it worse. That's why he went along with you that night. He thought maybe you just needed space to breathe. As she continued, fragments of that fateful evening began to pull together like a jigsaw puzzle he never wanted to see completed. What happened after the party? There was music, laughter, and then you both got in the car. Her voice wavered, caught between grief and determination. Jack was terrified, knowing you'd had too much to drink, but you were angry. You didn't want to hear it. I remember him saying, what did he say? The weight of the unspoken felt unbearable. He said, Tom, please. Just let me drive. You snapped at him, told him you were fine. That you could handle it. The image of their argument struck Tom like a punch. The memory felt both foreign and achingly familiar. Even then, I was pushing him away. God, I was so selfish. Her expression softened as tears filled her eyes. He didn't see it as selfish. He was scared, and in that fear, everything escalated. She took a moment, her voice trembling as she forged ahead. When you swerved it was chaos. Jack fought the seatbelt, trying to grab the wheel. But you went off the road before he could do anything. A sudden chill swept through him. He could almost hear the screeching tires, feel the shock. And that's when everything shattered. Yes, she whispered, choking back her emotions. For both of you. But Jack carried it alone. He thought he destroyed everything. The silence that followed was a heavy blanket, wrapping around them both, filled with grief for the past and what could have been. Tom felt a rising tide of emotions, a mixture of sadness for his brother, regret for his own stubbornness, and guilt for not being there when it counted. "Sarah," he said, his voice firm now, "I need to find a way to tell him I forgive him. I want him to know it wasn't his fault." Her eyes glistened. "Then let us find a way to honor him. We can do this together. But you need to be willing to face that night head-on." As a sense of purpose ignited within him, Tom realized something profound. Facing the pain might bring clarity, maybe not just for himself but for Jack, too. But as he thought about diving deeper into that darkness, a flicker of panic danced in his chest. This journey could reveal secrets he wasn't ready to confront. What if I can't handle it? What if uncovering more only brings more pain? "Growth often comes from pain, Tom," Sarah replied gently. "You can't heal what you don't face." Tom's heart raced. He was standing on the edge of something monumental. What lay ahead called to him, yet the fear of what he might find loomed large. "Then take my hand," Sarah urged, her voice steady with conviction. "Let us find the truth together, one piece at a time." And just as they steadied themselves to take that next step, Tom felt an unsettling vibration in the pit of his stomach. Deep down, he knew something even darker waited beneath the surface, waiting for them both. Would he be ready to face it when it emerged? Tom nodded slowly, letting Sarah's words wrap around him like a thick fog. He felt a mixture of dread and determination, torn between what he had done and what might still be buried within that night. What secrets had he locked away, and how could he possibly find the strength to unlock them? "Let us start by going back to the party," he said, almost as if he were trying to convince himself. "If I can remember more, maybe we can piece it all together." "Okay," she said softly, squeezing his hand. "But remember, you have to be gentle with yourself. We're in this together." The two of them made their way to the dimly lit bar where the party had taken place. As they stepped through the door, the familiar sounds rushed back: laughter, clinking glasses, the faint beat of music that had once filled the space with life. It felt surreal. Tom looked around, searching for echoes of the past. "I remember the crowd," he whispered. "But everything after that feels like a blank canvas." Sarah paused, her eyes scanning the room just as his did. "What do you see?" she asked, her voice low. He focused. There was a pizza place down the street. "Just the two of us." A distant smile flickered across his face. "Jack told that terrible joke. You know, the one about the chicken crossing the road? He butchered the punchline, and we laughed until we couldn't breathe." Sarah let out a small laugh too, and it lifted the weight a little. "Jack always had that gift, didn't he? Making you feel light. Even in moments like that." The corners of Tom's mouth twitched, and for a second, the memories felt bright. But then the darkness crept back in, the shadows lurking just below the surface. "But that night," he murmured, shaking off the moment. "It's not just laughter we need to uncover." "Right," Sarah agreed. "We were all here. Look for the faces. Think about the conversations. There might be pieces we're missing." Tom turned his gaze to the bar, where a bartender was polishing glassware. He was there that night, Tom remembered suddenly, his heart racing. "He asked me if I wanted another drink." "What is his name?" Sarah prompted, leaning closer. "Mark. Mark the bartender." Tom exclaimed, the memory clear now. "He intervened, joking about how I had already reached my limit. I remember feeling embarrassed." "I bet he saw enough that night," Sarah said thoughtfully. "He might know more than he realized." With newfound purpose, Tom approached the bar. He took a deep breath and introduced himself. The bartender looked puzzled for a moment, then recognition dawned. "Tom. It's been a while. How've you been?" Mark's smile faded when he took in the weight of Tom's question. "What can I do for you?" I need to talk about the night of the party. Do you remember what happened?" Tom's voice quaked slightly, the anxious memories creeping back in. Mark's brow furrowed as he searched for the words. "Yeah, I remember," he finally said, his tone cautious. "It got wild. You had a real good time." He hesitated. "But things took a wrong turn, didn't they?" Tom nodded, the lump in his throat becoming harder to swallow. "Can you remind me of what happened? Anything you can share?" As Mark began recounting the details, Tom felt the walls shifting around him. Each word was another step deeper into the past, dragging not just memories but emotions along with them. The sense of urgency was pulsing now, wrapping tighter around his chest. Then, without warning, Mark's words stopped abruptly, his gaze distant as if he were seeing something underneath the surface. "Tom, there's something I didn't mention before. Something you should know." The world around Tom faded away almost entirely, and all he could focus on was Mark's face. 100 questions swirled in his mind. What more was out there? What had been hidden beneath the laughter and joy? And as he waited for the revelation that could change everything, a part of him felt that whatever came next might tear open the very fabric of his reality. Would he be prepared to accept it? Would the truth set him free, or shatter him entirely? Mark hesitated, the weight of whatever he was about to say heavy on his shoulders. Tom felt his heart pick up speed, each beat a pulse of dread. "What is it?" he urged, the urgency lacing his words. Mark's eyes darted around the bar as if he were checking for eavesdroppers. "It's about that night, Tom. You weren't alone when things got out of hand." The fog enveloped Tom once more. "What do you mean?" I don't understand." "You were with someone. Someone I didn't think much of at the time. But looking back, it all makes sense." Mark paused, gathering his thoughts. "She was upset, and then you were comforting her. That's when I thought it got too much." Tom's mind raced. A stranger? Had he crossed a line? What happened? Did anything bad happen? Mark sucked in a breath, visibly torn. "I don't want to say something that isn't true, but there was a disagreement. People were angry. And it escalated." "Disagreement? Who was angry?" Sarah chimed in, her grip tightening around Tom's hand. Mark shook his head. "I can't remember names, but there was a guy. He was loud, yelling at you both." The vibe shifted, it got serious. Tom's breath hitched as pieces started to click together, but they also fragmented in troubling ways. "What did I do? I can barely remember anything from after the jokes. Did I hurt someone?" "Not you. Not in the way you're thinking," Mark replied, a gentle tone in his voice. "But I think the girl, the one you were trying to help. She was really shaken up." The desperation in Mark's voice made Tom's stomach twist. He could feel Sarah's worry next to him, an electric tremor of anxiety shared between them. "Can you remember anything about her? Was she okay?" Mark rubbed the back of his neck, his guilt evident. "Honestly, I didn't keep tabs. But I remember at some point she just disappeared. I didn't see her leave, but there was this energy shift. A few of us noticed and wondered where she went." "Why didn't anyone do anything?" Sarah murmured, her brow furrowing. "Trust me, I wish I had," Mark replied. "But those parties get chaotic." I recalled the screaming, the music. We all just assumed she slipped away. Tom felt the world tilt under him. Hairpin turns of memory began to resurface. Flashes of a face swam in his mind, but they danced just out of focus, taunting him. "I need to talk to her, Tom. We don't know who she is," Sarah said, urgency in her voice now. "What if she was just a stranger? I can't sit here and do nothing." Panic washed over Tom, creating a haze that clouded his judgment. What if she was hurt? Or worse? Mark shook his head. "I just think you need to be careful, man. This could open up some serious complications." But all Tom heard was the echo of guilt reverberating in his chest. He had to find her to understand what had truly happened that night. The thought of her being in pain under his watch was unbearable. Let us get our hands on that guest list. Someone must have her name, Tom declared, resolve surging through him. Tom, Sarah interjected hesitantly, are you sure that's the right move? It could stir up things we're not ready for. Her concern was palpable, wrapping around him like a safety net he longed to grasp but didn't want to. If I don't act now, I may never know the truth. Tom's chest constricted as he glanced back at Mark, who only nodded, concern deepening his gaze. Each second counting down like the beat of a clock, he felt time slipping as shadows crept nearer. But as he turned to lead Sarah out, a shiver ran down his spine. The ominous weight of truth licked at his heels, leaving behind uncertainty. What if the answers he sought raised more questions than they could fathom? And would confronting the past destroy what little peace they had left? They stepped outside into the night air, the cool breeze brushing against them like an unsettling whisper. And in the distance, sirens wailed like ghosts echoing of things long left undone. What had he really opened up? And was he ready to face the consequences of whatever lay around the corner? The night felt alive with the hum of uncertainty as Tom stood outside the bar with Sarah, apprehension curling in his stomach. The world around them faded into a blur, heavy thoughts colliding like a storm inside his mind. He wanted to find the girl, to piece together what had happened, yet an undercurrent of fear draped itself around him. Are you sure about this? Sarah's voice was soft, yet filled with concern, grounding him in the chaos. What if it stirs up trouble? Tom took a deep breath, the crisp air biting at his lungs. I need to know. Not just for me, but for her, whoever she is. There was a fierceness in his determination, a clarity born from confusion and regret. They turned down the brightly lit street, the rich colors of neon signs casting shadows on their faces. Tom felt the energy of the night pulsate around them, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions tangled in his heart. Memories were just beyond his reach, slipping through his fingers like sand. With each step forward, he felt the weight of his past crushing him tighter. I'll help you, Sarah said, her voice steady, warming Tom's heart amidst the turmoil. Whatever we find, we'll face it together. You're not alone. A slow nod escaped him. The bond between them felt strange yet comforting, wrapped in the promise of solidarity. Let us find that guest list. Back at the bar, they cornered Mark, who shuffled nervously. I'm serious, Tom. This could have repercussions that you might not be ready for. Mark led them to a back office where thick folders lay scattered among the remnants of the night. Each paper seemed about to unravel secrets buried deep beneath the surface. Tom felt a physical reaction, a mix of excitement laced with dread. Here it is. Mark pulled out a stack of names, fanning them out on the table. But just remember, you can't unsee what you find. Tom swallowed hard, scanning the list. There it was, almost mocking him. Names replaced faces he could barely recall. Some would mean nothing, while others ignited flickers of familiarity. But one name jumped out at him like a beacon: Lila. A gasp escaped his lips. Lila, Tom whispered, a piece of the puzzle falling into place. I think she was there that night. We were close, but I can't remember the details. Sarah leaned closer, her expression watchful. What do you remember about her? Just warmth. Laughter. But things went south fast. A memory flickered, fragments of laughter fused with shadows, arguments laced with pain. I remember caring about her deeply. That haunting sense of urgency pushed them forward. What if she did get hurt? What if I contributed to what happened? I need to talk to her, Sarah. She's the key. They shared a look, unspoken support weaving between them. Let us find her, she nodded, determined. With a newfound sense of purpose, they gathered information, following trails that led them into the depths of their shared past. Each conversation felt like piecing together a forgotten tapestry of friendship and loss, revealing truths that could either heal or shatter. Tom's heart raced as they drove to Lila's last known address. The streets felt foreign yet familiar, a ghost of the life he once led. Shadows danced between the street lamps, echoing the feelings of regret and longing. As they pulled up, the house loomed ahead, and Tom's breath caught in his throat. Standing outside, he fought against the tide of fear clawing at him. What if she doesn't want to talk? What if I've hurt her beyond repair? You can't stay in the shadows forever, Sarah replied, her voice carrying strength. This is part of your truth. She deserves to hear your side. He nodded, steeling himself. Together, they walked towards the front door. As Tom raised his hand to knock, gripping the wood tightly, his heart roared in his ears. A moment stretched, then the door swung open, revealing Lila. Her expression shifted from surprise to recognition, and then shock swept over her features. Tom. Lila, he said, feeling time slip away. Their connection was instantaneous, a clashing storm of emotions threatening to drown them both. What are you doing here? Her voice was a hesitant whisper, tinged with caution. I need to talk to you. About that night, about everything, Tom said, vulnerability spilling into every word. Before she could speak, Sarah chimed in, we're just trying to understand what happened. We're here to help. Lila glanced between them, uncertainty painted across her features. There's so much you don't know. Tom stepped forward, his heart drumming a rapid beat. I can't live without knowing the truth. I can't keep running from it. Her gaze softened slightly, as if a bridge began to form between them. Come in, she said at last, and with that, the door swung further ajar. Inside, the air felt heavy with memories. Tom could almost hear echoes of laughter mixed with cries from the night that changed everything. The weight of emotions pressed heavy as he stepped across the threshold, a sense of resolve swelling within. Let's talk, he breathed, ready to face whatever shadows remained hidden in the corners of their past. As they settled on the couch, Tom's heart was a tempest. He could feel the gravity of not just one but many shattered pieces, longing for wholeness. The truth awaited them, shrouded in layers of hurt, hope, and healing. Tell me everything, he urged, and this time, there was no turning back. The weight of the past hung in the air, yet Tom felt a flicker of hope sparking as they began to unravel the story together. Would they find their way through, tenderly mending the wounds of yesterday into a future brighter than the memories that had haunted him? Only time would tell, but as Tom faced Lila, it felt as though finally, the right pieces were coming together. And as the conversation unfurled, truths were coming to light, illuminating even the darkest corners of his mind. This was his moment, a turning point toward forgiveness, healing, and perhaps, redemption. If this finale moved you, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss out on more powerful stories that touch the heart. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and comment below with your thoughts on Tom's journey. Every voice matters. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, let us build this community of hope and healing.